A lot of you guys have been asking for a race recap of what happened at Nice at Ironman World Championships this past weekend, and I said instead of writing it, let me speak it out on this YouTube channel, and you guys could get a grasp of what I was going through throughout the day. So I will hopefully convey some good points, some takeaways for you guys to go into your Ironman, your half Ironman, your racing, your training, and I'll show some maps of the course and kind of just go over where I was at throughout the day. But let's back up to Ironman Lake Placid, July 20th this past year. So about 6 to 7 weeks prior to the Ironman World Championship. I had qualified for the championship back at Ironman Arizona in 2024, kind of put it on the back burner, didn't think I was going. Ironman Lake Placid, Uncle David, our 69-year-old stud, also known as the GOAT, qualified to go to the World Championships in Nice a mere 6 weeks later. So David said, if I go and race, the only way I'm going is if you go and race. So knowing that this would be the last opportunity for David to race a world championship because he's Orthodox Jewish and he never races on Saturdays, and all the races from now on will be in Kona on Saturdays. This Nice race happening this year was the last time the World Championship is going to happen on a Sunday. So David said, it's my last opportunity. I want to cross the finish line. I want you there. I want to be on the same course as you. You're coming. You're racing. So he kind of put me on the spot. He put the load on my back that I was going to have to be here for his last opportunity at the World Championship. So how could I say no? So I said, okay, I'll race. At that point, I started upping my volume a little bit on the bike, a little bit on the run. Hadn't really been doing in much swim training. So I started Ironman training about 6 weeks before the race. Cramming, as I like to say. I used to do in college. I used to be really good at cramming in college. So I was cramming my Ironman training in, saying, hey, when I get to race day, I'll perform within my ability levels, let the chips fall where they may. Probably gonna have to check my ego. And I wasn't lying to myself. That was the case. But hey, I was at the World Championships and we are gonna have some fun. So race week, I got there. I left Wednesday. I got there Thursday. Race was happening Sunday. So I got there Thursday afternoon. It was a 9 hour time difference. So travel took over a day to get there. Got there, got the bike together, got everything in order, got all the check-in done. And yeah, I was getting ready to race, trying to get over the jet lag Sunday morning. A weird note that I brought up on our 2 p.m. team call is prior to the race started, I usually go number two, probably about 5 or 6 times. It's like a faucet, just a little TMI for you guys. Nothing happened before this race. I had nothing. I could tell I was off timing wise because I was fine. And then nothing. I said, hey, I guess I'll just go with it. So got in the swim, beautiful water. I mean, the Mediterranean Sea is just aqua blue the whole way. It was non-wetsuit swim. After my experience last year at Ironman Texas, where I totally overheated, and then the 70.3 World Championships in New Zealand, where I did the same thing, I was going to be very cautious in the swim, knowing there's going to be a warm swim and there was going to be a really warm wetsuit swim or a warm non-wetsuit swim. I said, I'm just going to wear a Speedo under the wetsuit if it's wetsuit or under the swim skin if it's a non-wetsuit swim. I'm just wearing a Speedo, then I'll change into my kit in T1. I didn't want to overheat. I was shell shocked from it, and I wanted to really head that off at the pass. So they announced it's gonna be a non-wetsuit swim. I was fine. I had my Roka swim skin there ready to go. Thanks to Mac Brown. He sent that over to me a few months ago. He uh he got that in my hands. I had acclimated to it. I'd done a few swims in it. I felt good in it, but I knew, hey, T1's gonna be a little longer. I'm gonna really head it off the pass. So we get out there, we start. It's a melee. There's arms, legs everywhere. It's as close to a mass start that they have that they've gone away from. This was as close to a mass start as they have now because there's everybody in my age group, 300 guys, all starting at the same time. Deep water start, arms, legs everywhere. So it took a little bit to string it out. I felt good. I felt strong. I actually loved being in the close quarters with other athletes. And it's strung out within 300 meters. It's strung out. But I love the course because as we're always stressing to our athletes, is we always want to break these things down at the Ironman distance, especially into smaller segments. If you were like Arizona, if you just go out 2,000 meters straight that way, come back 2,000 meters straight this way, that's a long time. But if you look at this course, I'm going to share the screen of my Training Peaks results. It's in the shape of an M, right? So you get one segment out, second segment back, third segment out, fourth segment back. So it's really easy to break it down one segment at a time, not looking long term in your first 100 meters Holy cow, how am I going to make it all the way to the 4,000th meter? That's a lot of buoys. This was just break it down. Boom, out, back, out, back. Luckily, I had a few athletes that I was swimming with that we could switch off drafting positions and kind of save the energy. And I didn't know how I was going to swim, right? I haven't been doing much swimming. I've been doing a lot of swimming on the tether in my backyard. It's a bungee cord that straps into the wall and you just swim against that. So I've been doing 30, 45 an hour on the bungee with my form goggles on, so I had at least something to look at timer wise. But that's a lot of the swimming I've been doing, and it turned out to be okay because all that muscular strength that I built allowed me to keep the turnover up, keep good purchase on the water, stroke after stroke after stroke. I was also focused on something Coach Jack focuses on a lot on our 2 p.m. calls is my scapula, my upper back engagement as I was swimming, knowing that my body tends to sink in the water especially without the wetsuit on. I had to keep that scapula engaged to keep the elbow up. The more I sink, the more elbow drops, the more inefficient you get. So that upper back engagement, that foundation, allows you to keep the elbow up at the start of your stroke. So I was really focused on that, and I think that helped me get nice, long, strong strokes. And with the minimal amount of swimming I've been doing, to hold a 139 to 141 pace over the course of 4,000 meters, I was pretty happy with that. And it was a fun swim too, to be able to swim with a few other guys and use their feet. Pace changes. One would put in a little more of an effort, then I get to the front, put in a little more of an effort. They'd stay on my feet. So it was an entertaining swim also. So I got out feeling pretty good. Once again, knowing there was a steep ramp going up into T1, I wanted to take my time. I didn't want to sprint up it. I had to go ride 112 miles, run a marathon. Nothing was going to be made or broken in this T1. Now, usually the complete opposite. Get your ass through transition as fast as possible. This is free time. I was in no place for this type of approach for this race. I took my time getting up the ramp. I got my T1 bag, took off my Speedo, put on my kit, put on my shoes, put on my bike, my glasses, got out the door, grabbed my bike, got onto the bike course. I started cruising, and my goal for the bike was just to pay attention to heart rate. After the training I've done, I knew that my heart rate ranges going uphill would be about 150 to 160 beats per minute, and then the flat and the rolling sections, it would be 140 to 150 beats a minute. I didn't have time to look at the course. I looked at a bunch of recon videos on YouTube, but I didn't have time to look at the course. I just looked at the undulation of the course and knew what I was getting into because of those recon videos I had done. There's actually a really good one on the Precision Hydration YouTube channel done by one of their pro females last year. I forget who it was, but she broke it down into 9 segments. The same way we broke the swim down into 4 segments, she broke the bike course into 9 segments: flat, climb, descend, climb, rolling, descend, climb, descend, flat, right? So I was breaking it down 1 segment at a time as well. But it's 112 miles. It's a long time to be on the bike. I never paid attention to time when I was out there, knowing that it wasn't going to be my fastest, right? Usually, typically in an Ironman, I'm anywhere from 440 to 505 on a bike. I was on the bike for a long time, and let me tell you, it was a long time. I got my undercarriage was sore. I couldn't get in the TT position. I just wasn't feeling right. About halfway through the bike, I felt, okay, I'm gonna take this thing and throw it off one of these cliffs because Ventum, D and Audrey at Ventum had just sent me the bike the week before. They're amazing Tempest. The thing is fast, it's sexy. I have it right over here. You guys look, it's on the trainer. I rode it this morning. There it is. It's got a towel. It's all sweaty still. But I didn't have enough time on the bike, and I never had an actual professional bike fit. So as I say to my athletes, do as I say, not as I do. But when I took my other bike off the trainer, deciding which one I was going to use, that bike fell apart. The derailleur fell off. Everything just fell apart. It was like meant to be that I was supposed to use this bike, but I wasn't comfortable on it. I wasn't fit on it, and it was showing halfway through. So guys, get a bike fit. Make sure you're comfortable on your fit with that fit. Put in the time on the bike. So when you get out there, there's not all this noise of the uncomfortable feeling talking to you. You know you can just focus on your effort because everything else is dialed in. 112 miles is a long way to be on that bike. If you look at my bike file, I'm going to bring that up here and you can see the elevation gain and all that kind of stuff from my training peaks. And I know I'm bloviating here. You guys might say, oh, this is boring. I don't want to listen and tune out. But like I said, hopefully you're going to learn something. I'm going to cover some things afterwards that that I learned and that hopefully you can tune into in your training that help you have better Ironman results. So here is the course. It's one loop, 112 miles. You have 9,291 feet of elevation gain. So that's a lot of elevation gain. And let me tell you, every single mile it felt like we were going uphill out there. But if you look at my power and my heart rate, it's right where I wanted to be. As I was going up the hill, I was in the mid 150s. As I was in the flatter section, I was in the mid 140s. The descending, it loses a little bit as you're descending, but this descent was brutal. I mean, it was hairpin turns left and right, very narrow road. And then there's other athletes flying by me at 70 miles an hour. I didn't know what I was doing. I had never done a recon ride on this route, so I was taking it very slow, being very precautious. And let me tell you guys, there were crashes everywhere, and these were massive crashes. There was guys laid out on stretchers in potato, the potato foil because they're freezing, they're in shock. Ambulances everywhere. So there was people going a little too crazy out there in this descent. Maybe it was worth it for someone who might have been on top of the podium, but for a majority of those athletes, I think it was a little out of control and above their ability level, especially for the ones that crashed the way they did. But I was just tuned in to how I was moving. About halfway through the bike, I was just not feeling the calories. And I attribute this to my lack of adaptation to my caloric intake or my carbohydrate intake and training. I stopped. I didn't keep on what I would do on race day because this was my first race of 2025. I hadn't raced at all. So I said, why am I going to blow through gels, keep taking all these gels if I'm not racing too much? I don't need to be adapted to it. My gut wasn't adapted to carbohydrates. All the previous years when I was racing once a month, I was taking in tons of gels, tons of carbohydrates in training. My gut was adapted to it and I could handle it come race day. I haven't been taking in any carbohydrates in training. I haven't been taking in many gels, not much drink. And it showed about halfway through the bike. I had to stop taking anything in. I moved to water and just pH 1000, which they had on course. And the gels went by the wayside. Maybe I took one and a half, two gels in the back 56 miles. And I was so uncomfortable that my mind was on the uncomfortableness and not on fueling my gut the way it should be fueled because I wasn't adapted to it. So take your training, take your gels, take your nutrition as serious as you do your training because you can't get to that top end. You can't keep that consistent effort if you don't have the fuel there to power that consistent effort. But I was happy the way I executed the bike. It wasn't fast. 6 hours and 43 minutes for an Ironman is not fast, but I got a lot of meat here, right? I got lightning and thunder. I'm a big dude. I've never been a natural climber. So I knew going in the course, it wasn't suited to my forte. If I look at Ironman Texas, if I look at Arizona, Ironman Arizona. Those suit my forte, right? Slight uphill, flat, downhill, slight downhill where I can really put out some watts. But when I'm going uphill, the watts per kilogram just don't make sense for somebody my size. So I knew it wasn't going to be my fastest bike split when I got out there or going into the race. I knew I just had to stick to my guns, stick to my plan, and check my ego because that's the biggest thing. Check your ego and let the chips fall where they may, as long as you're executing within your ability level. When you're planning races, might be something to take note. Yeah, it's a sexy place to go race, but is it suited to my strengths? Do you want results or do you want the experience of finishing a race in a beautiful spot? This was going to be the experience of finishing a race in a beautiful spot. As I got through and into that downhill and I was getting passed by everybody, getting passed, I had every excuse in my mind as to why I wasn't going to do the run, right? I was hurting, I was in pain. My bike didn't fit correctly. I just got here. I was still jet lagged. I just decided to do this race 5 weeks ago. I didn't do the right training. I wasn't in Ironman shape. I had all these excuses as to why I wasn't going to go run. But I also knew I had a ton of athletes that we coach, our Tower 26 family. They were all on my back, and I knew they were all watching at home, pushing me on through to the finish line. So I got in the T2, and I had to sit there and compose myself for a minute. As you guys know, I'm also a big fan. I heard a good quote last week on another recon from another coach, and I forget who it was, but it's something that I truly believe in, that nothing good happens in T2. You get into T2, the longer you sit there, the more you contemplate the pain you're going to go endure in this marathon, the less you want to do it. So you get in and get out as fast as possible. I didn't do that. I sat down, I collected myself, I slowly put on my socks, slowly put on my shoes. I actually went to take a pee, and I never really take pees during races. I took a pee, and I said, okay, I'll go out there and I'll just take a couple steps, see how it feels. If it really feels like garbage, I'll turn on my chip and, go do something else, cheer on the other competitors. So I took a couple steps and I started slowly trotting on the bike on the run course. And it didn't feel too bad. I felt pretty good. I didn't have that top end speed. It has to do with the fatigue in the legs from the bike and the lack of fueling. But I felt all right. I started moving and I said, you know what? I started dialing into the low nines, mid 8:30 pace, and I was cruising. I said, hey, my legs are feeling good. I'm feeling strong. One thing I was doing leading into the race, I have a circuit down here I run that we call the Stingray, and it's up and down and up and down. And I was doing that a ton. And I think because I was doing all those hills, that durability work in the run allowed my legs to not I didn't have the top end speed, like I said, but I had the durability to go mile over mile over mile. If we look at the run course here, once again, the common theme of this course is it's easy to break down. It's four loops out approximately 5K, back approximately 5K. So I never took it in one big chunk. I always looked at it as, okay, run out to the first turnaround, run back to the next turnaround, run out to the next turnaround, run back to the next turnaround. And I never looked at it as one big 26-mile run or 42-kilometer run. I looked at it as 5K, 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 and I just saw what can I hold for a pace out to this 5K, turn around, settle in. What can I hold for a pace out to this 5K, turn around, settle in. Around two loops in, as you see here, the pace dropped drastically for a little bit. I started to feel some fatigue in the legs, but then I made a turn going on to the third loop and I started to feel great again. I persevered through it. I did what I had to get through that little downturn in that no man's land where you're at 13 to mile 15. And then, I turned and I didn't give up on myself. I kept moving forward and I started to pick it up again on the third loop. And by the time I made the turn on the fourth loop for coming home, I was running the fastest miles of the day, right? I think I closed it out at just above 7 minute pace for the last 2 or 3 miles. So I just persevered through it, checked my ego, and I didn't let the results or the times get to my head and get to and affect that ego and affect where I was at mentally on the day. Everybody's in pain in a marathon. Everybody is doing what they have to do to get through it, but it's the athletes who can quiet the noise and focus on the process the best are the ones who persevere and get to the finish line. I wouldn't say successful, well, maybe successfully, but they get to the finish line the most pain-free, mentally and physically pain-free. So a few things that I wanted to hit in on here is if you guys are going to an Ironman, I want you to remember, try and get there early, especially if it's a time change. And if you're looking to have really great performance at an Ironman race or half Ironman race, don't venture too far out of your time zone, right? Try and find a race where you really want to hone in on. Find a race that's in your time zone where it doesn't change your sleep habits or your eating habits too much. You can pretty much stick to what you know and stick to the schedule that you've been training on day in and day out, month in and month out. Train like an Ironman, right? There's no shortcuts. You got to do the work. You got to put on the time on the bike. You got to put on the time in the run. You got to put in the time in the swim. It's a commitment, guys, and you got to do it. The more time you spend on the bike, the more time you spend on the run, the more time you spend in the water, the better off you're going to be on race day, both from a performance standpoint, but from a mental standpoint. As soon as you start to fatigue, that mind starts to talk to you and say you shouldn't be doing this. This hurts. Stop, stop, stop. The fitter you are, the less that mind talks to you. So there's no faking it. You got to put the time in. You got to build that durability. Get a bike fit. If you aren't comfortable, if you're uncomfortable on your bike, it's not just going to solve itself on race day, right? Go find a professional bike fitter and spend the money to get a professional bike fit. And then when you get off, just because when you get out of training, just because you got that bike fit, you get out, something's uncomfortable, you got to make sure you change it and deal with it in training. It's not just going to solve itself on race day. So get a bike fit so you can use these sexy machines for all that they can offer you and all they can provide. If you're sitting up the whole time like I was for 112 miles, there's no point in me having this. I should have been on a comfy road bike in that little more relaxed seat position. I wasn't using this to its advantage, and that's on me because I didn't get a professional bike fit. Work your nutrition, guys. Don't forget, or don't take for granted just because when you were training in the past or racing in the past, your nutrition worked and you had a steel gut. You have to keep working it. Just like your body de-adapts or deconditions to training when you haven't been doing it, so does your gut. Your gut does not just stay with that level of adaptation to carbohydrates. You need to keep it up and keep adding those carbohydrates. So on race day, you can keep taking them in and keep fueling that engine. It was a beautiful run course. It was a beautiful bike course, a beautiful swim course. So make sure you take it in too while you're out there, guys. Appreciate it for what it is, right? This is our This is our outlet from our everyday stress. So if you're constantly putting your stress on yourself and you're training and you're racing and you're not enjoying it for what it is, then maybe it's time to find something else to do as an outlet, because this gets us away from the everyday rigmarole of life, the stresses that life we have to deal with in life, the stresses of our job, the stress of our family. We're out there for an outlet. So if you find yourself put too much stress on yourself and you go into training and racing a little too stressed out because you're worried about the outcome, then you have to reevaluate your mindset and maybe think about something else to do if you're not really enjoying the process, because we want to enjoy the process while they're out there. As I've stated several times, know how you're going to break these races down. Go into it with a game plan. Know what your numbers are going to be. I like to go off of heart rate on the bike. I like to know how I'm going to break down the course, swimming, biking, running. Something like Ironman Arizona. You go up 2,000 meters out, 2,000 meters back. You can still break it down. There's buildings on the side. Okay, I'll swim to this building first. Then I'm going to swim to that building next. Then I'll come back, swim a bit. So find these little check-in points. Every race you can find check-in points. Like I said about the precision hydration video, she had each segment, right, broken down. So I just wrote segment to segment to segment, and that helped me get through the 112 miles. Check your ego. Doesn't make a difference what times you're putting in there. As long as you're sticking to your ability level, let the chips fall where they may, right? There's not going to be any race day secret. There's not going to be a race day super nutrition or super effort that you can put in that's outside of your ability level, especially as the races get longer. So stick to your plan, stick to your numbers, stick to your metrics, and let the chips fall where they may. I did that same thing. 6 hours and 43 minutes on the bike is a long time, like I said, but it is what it is. I got through it. I got through T2. I got into the run. I realized, hey, the day is all not all for naught. I actually feel pretty good out here, and it allowed me to stay motivated to the finish line. I felt pretty good at the finish. I wasn't totally wrecked the way I am during some other races. So, hopefully, you guys learned something here. A few people and companies I'd like to thank for helping me get to the start line, helping me day in and day out in my training and my racing is obviously Precision Hydration. Andy Blow and his team over there are amazing. They've formulated some amazing products. So thank you to you guys. If you guys are not using this yet, you should be on Precision Hydration. It's the only product that gets to your system efficiently and works for you as quick as possible. Pedal Mafia, Anthony and Jay over there sending kits to me and my team and providing the premier clothing, the fastest clothing in endurance sports. So Pedal Mafia, you guys are amazing. Ventum, D and Audrey, you guys got me that bike so quick, and it's an awesome machine. It's my bad. I will get fit on it. I swear to you guys, next race I will do it proud, and I'll have one of the fastest bike splits out there. Proactive, Ryan, Isaiah, Emily, all you guys over there. You guys always given a lot to build me into the best machine I can be and help me recover from all the training with all your recovery modalities. So Proactive, thank you guys. Roca, Mac Brown, and your team at Roca Multisport. With obviously you guys are the best wetsuits and swim skins in the business. So keep it coming. You always take care of our Tower 26 family really well. That being said, the Tower 26 family, you guys always have my back. We always have such great interaction. We have such love for each other, and the community we've built here at Tower 26 is like nothing else in endurance sports. So thank you. I know a lot of other companies and other teams try to strive to build what we have, but we can only do it because of the personality and the characters that we have in the Tower 26 family. So thank you, thank you, thank you. No one has experienced endurance sport the way we do in our team. Coach Muddy, you're always there for me, buddy. You're one of my mentors. You're one of my longtime coaches, one of my longtime friends. Thank you for being there for me. And my partner in crime, Jerry, Coach Jerry, I don't know. I don't even know what to say, man. We've just been partners for a long time. And I know we always have each other's back. And the trust between us is like trust between, two business partners have never had with each other. So I love you, buddy. Thanks, Coach Jerry. And Kathy came over and she helped my wife take care of the kids for the 4 or 5 days while I was gone. So, Aunt Kathy, you're a saint. I know you got sick afterwards. Imagine what my life is having to put up with these kids every single day. You did it for 4 days and you're laid up. I do it for my life, right? So, steal, baby, steal. But bring up my wife. My wife, most important thing in the world to me. Thank you for always supporting all these crazy endeavors and going along with me saying, hey, I'm going to go to Nice for 4 or 5 days. Good luck. See you later. So my wife is just a saint, the most angelic human on the planet. So thank you to my wife and kids. I couldn't do it without you. I'm more resilient and stronger because all the shit you give me day in and day out. So thanks to my kids. But hey, guys, I hope you learned something from this. Hope you maybe took some notes, and hopefully I did not go on too long and you tuned out and said, this guy's full of himself. But As a coach, I always look to get on course and learn from my experience and then take that experience and parlay it to our athletes, making them better in the long run. So thanks for listening, guys. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for following me on race day, and stay tuned. We will get to you as to what's next on the race calendar. Until then, keep racing, race strong. Later, guys. Bye.